Hello students, welcome to Learner's Planet. Let us continue with the chapter Diversity in Living Organisms. In the earlier session, I was discussing about the classification of phylum Chordata, right? So you remember what are these chordates? Chordates are those specific organisms in which the notochord is present. And depending upon that whether this notochord is present in the primitive stage or it is replaced by the vertebral column, it is further subdivided, right? So in today's session I am going to discuss about those specific groups which comes under the chordata. Well, the very first group that comes under the group chordata is the protochordata. So let us discuss about the basic features of these organisms which come under this particular group. So students, here is the flowchart which is just highlighting the important properties of these animals. Initially, the protochordata is also known as acraniata. See, the protochordata, it means what? It is comprised of two words here, that is proto and the chordata. So proto means primitive or the first, whereas chordata it means chord or the notochord. So the animals in which the chord or the notochord is present for the first time in the primitive form, they are known as the protochordates, right? And besides this, it is also known as the acraniata. The reason behind this is that because in them the brain box is absent. So of course, because of this reason, they are the acraniates. Now, in these organisms, there are some important features, right? As we have studied about the different invertebrate organisms, now I'm going to explain you about these important features here. So, protochordates, they are the free living organisms. Now, you know very well that what this free living means. Free living means which can move from one place to another. They are motile, right? And these free living independent organisms, either they can lead their life in a solitary form or they can live as a colony. In a colony, here what we mean by that is they are living in a group, right? So such type of organisms that lives in a group or in a form of colony, right, in the independent as an independent individual, such type of group is known as a gregarious group. Fine. Besides that, the important features like they all are bilaterally symmetric. I hope you understand the term very well now because we are repeatedly studying about it. These organisms, their body, it can be divided into two equal halves from a vertical plane. Fine. Besides that, they are coelomic triploblastic. And these are the basic features that we have studied in the earlier session, right? Or these higher animals, they all are having true cavity and they all are triploblastic. Besides this, these organisms, they are not having the head, right? The head part is absent in these organisms, but their body, it is divided into three parts. So that those three parts are the proboscis, which is the anterior most part of the body. Then it is followed by the collar and the trunk. Collar, which is the junction of these two parts, that is proboscis and the trunk. So this is how the body is subdivided into three parts. Further, these organisms, they are not having the specific exoskeleton, right? Or I must say that their body is actually covered with the test, a cover which is made up of cellulose. So the typical exoskeleton is of course absent, but a sort of test or a cover is definitely present which is made up of cellulose. In these organisms, definitely the gill slits are present in the pharyngeal region, and the presence of these gill slits is a peculiar feature of the chordates. As I have discussed this in the earlier session, that all chordates, they are having the gill slits in the, either throughout their life or in the specific phase of their life. So in these organisms, the gill slits are present forever in their life. Then they are definitely having a notochord. Now this notochord is present and I have written here in bracket that partially. So this feature is a very important feature of these protochordates. Well, you remember what is this notochord exactly? Let me tell you. A notochord is a long rod-like support structure that runs along the back of the animals. In these organisms, of course, it is present at the dorsal side of the body, and over there it is basically present in between the nerve cord, that is the nervous tissue, and the gut. So it is providing the support to the body structure, as well as it is separating the nerve cord or the nervous tissue and the gut. And such structure is not at all present in the invertebrates, right? Besides this, it is located towards the ventral side of the nerve cord. That means if we just look or we consider the lateral side of the organisms, then at the topmost, towards the dorsal side definitely, or the topmost side, there will be a nerve cord, then there is the notochord, and then there is the gut region. So this is how these structures are arranged, and the notochord is providing support as well as a separation part for the for these two structures, right? Besides this, the notochord, it is also providing a place for the muscles. So the muscles can anchor in these structures or this part, and thus it is helping in the movement of these living organisms. You must be knowing that movement is an important part, and the locomotion, for that the contraction and relaxation of muscles is very much required, isn't it? So in such organisms, they are having the muscles which are attached to the notochord that helps in the movement of the organism, of these organisms. When we are discussing about the protochords, I must mention here that these organisms, they are having the primitive type of notochord. Now this I have written in the first slide also, right? And you know what exactly is meant by this point, that it is having a primitive notochord? It means that the notochord is present in these organisms either throughout their life, or it may be present partially during certain stages, like it may be present only in the embryonic stage, or it may be present in embryonic as well as in the larval stage, or in other organisms it may be present in the embryonic, larval as well as the adult stage. So this is what is meant by this primitive notochord. That means notochord is there, but the variation occurs, like its existence or its complexity varies with the different organisms within this group. Second thing is that there are the organisms in which even if it is present in the adult stage or in the larval stage, it may be present all throughout the body, or it may be limited to some regions, like in the tail part, right? Or it may be present only in the cephalic region, that is in the head part. So it depends whether it is present all along the body, or it is limited to different parts. And depending upon this, the group protochordata, it has been subclassified. Depending that whether it is present only in the tail part or in the anal part or in the cephalic and so on, right? This is what forming the base for the subclassification of these organisms. Further, let us come back to flowchart. These organisms, they also lack the cranium. That means they are not having the skull part in their proboscis or in the head region. Head is actually absent, so I must use the term proboscis, right? So in the anterior region, the cranium or the brain box or the skull is not present, and thus this group is known as the acraniata. Regarding habitat, all these organisms are aquatic, and exclusively they are found in seawater, right? And I must say that these organisms, they are present at the bottom side of the sea, and they are burrowing. The sand which is present in these shallow sea water, they can burrow in this sand area in the sea itself. So this is a special feature of these organisms. Exceptions, of course, they may be there, but exactly they are marine. Besides this, these organisms, they reproduce by the sexual mode. They that means, of course, they are reproducing by the fertilization, or by the, I'm sorry, by the fusion of male and female gamete, and the development in these organisms is indirect. That means the life cycle, it is having the larval stage too, right? The adult stage is not obtained immediately after the fertilization or after the embryonic stages, but rather this, they pass through the larval stage also. So this is another important point regarding the protochordate. These organisms, I can give you some examples now, so as to just clarify that how these organisms look like, as of course they are marine organisms, and you may not see it all the time, and everybody might not have seen these organisms, right? And in general, even it is not possible for each and every individual to look at these organisms, as they are exclusively found at the bottom of the sea. So let me show you some of the pictures. So students, here are these some examples, like Herdmania, Balanoglossus, Amphioxus, and so on. You know, this Balanoglossus, it is the, I can say, out of all these, this is the simplest one. In these organisms, you can see the body is actually divided into three parts. This upper conical part that you can see here, it is known as the proboscis. Then there is the collar part, and then there is this body part, which is known as the trunk region, right? And of course, inside these organisms, the notochord is actually present in the very primitive form. You know, initially, in these organisms, a sort of diverticulum extension was present in this proboscis part, which was initially considered as the notochord, right? And of course, they are having the pharyngeal gill slits, right? The pharynx here is actually highly perforated, in which the gill slits are present, which helps in the respiration process of these organisms. Then regarding the this digestive system, they are having the developed alimentary duct is present over there, and these organisms, their special structure is present, which is known as the hepatic caecae. See, you can see these structures, this position over here. There is the bunch of cells which is known as the hepatic ceca or caecae, right? And these structures, they are having functions which are quite similar to the liver in the higher organisms. Then of course the post-anal the anus is also present at the posterior side, and this is therefore the basic or the simple chordate, right? Further, the next example is a Herdmania, and this Herdmania, the specialty about this organism is that it is sedentary, right? And beside this, these organisms, they are having the notochord as well as the developed nerve cord in its larval stage. Or in other terms, I can say that the tail, notochord, as well as the nerve cord is completely absent in the adult stage. So this is the important feature about these particular organisms. Beside this, the branchial sac and the well-developed or the numerous gill slits are also present in these organisms, by which they can easily respire. Alright, and in these organisms, the reproduction can occur by asexual method as well as by the sexual mode. The next organism is the Amphioxus. Now then, just a second, I must say one more thing, that the organisms in which the notochord is present, or it is limited only in the tail part, they are known as the urochordates. So even in that, as I'm saying that in this Herdmania, the tail, I'm sorry, the notochord is present in the tail region, and the tail is absent in the adult stage. So now you can imagine that this will belong to the subgroup which is known as the Urochordata. Then I initially also told you that the organisms, they are having the this notochord all through the length of the body. So those are known as the cephalochordata, right? And the example of such type is the amphioxus. Amphioxus, in which the notochord runs from the anterior part to the posterior part. That means from the head region to the tail part. In these organisms, now you can clearly observe that this notochord is well developed here, and it is separating the two parts, that is the nerve cord and the intestinal part, right? Besides this, they are having these oral tentacles, and the gill slits are also present in the pharyngeal region. And these gill slits, definitely they are required for the respiration in these organisms, right? Besides this, these are also having the fins like caudal fin, ventral fin, dorsal fins. These are present, which is actually supporting the movement of these particular organisms, or I'm sorry, this particular organism. Well, beside this, there are many other examples, and definitely there are many variations among these type of organisms, which actually help in the subclassification of the group protochordata. Further, I will continue in the next session, and there I will discuss about the next group, that is known as the vertebrata. Vertebrata or the euchordata, in which the chordate or notochord is well developed, or it is replaced by the developed structure which is known as the vertebral column. So that we will continue in the next session. Okay. So till then, thank you so much. Have a nice day. Goodbye.